Good morning, students. Today I'm here with my fourth video in English literature. In the other videos, I had covered one poetry, one short story. Third video was of The Tempest, in which I had summarized Act 4, Scene 1. Now, Act 4, Scene 1 is a long scene, long act. And to cover this entire scene or the act, it will take some time. I will be explaining the act in simple English, unlike in class where I would explain and read the text. Here I will be explaining the text. So I begin. Now this particular scene starts and is conducted in front of Prospero's cell. Now we know that Prospero is on this island. He is in this particular cell. He has set up his library, his home. It is his refuge, and the entire scene is right now in front of his cell. The dialogues are between Prospero and Ferdinand. So I start. Prospero is talking to Ferdinand, in which he tells, if I have punished you too severely is very strictly, your reward now makes up for, and he tells him that the reward that you will get now will make up for all the punishment you have been receiving at my hand. For I have given you Miranda, who is an integral part of my life. Here he gives his daughter to Ferdinand as his to-be wife, and he says, for all the harm, for all the torture that Ferdinand has been going through, he is now giving Miranda to be his wife. Once again I offer her to you. All the hardships given to you were to test your love for her. Yes, all the hardship that Prospero had given Ferdinand was only to test his love, whether he truly loved that girl, whether he was just in a temporary infatuation with her. So it was just a test by a father for his daughter. So, and you have splendidly stood by the test. And he declares that Ferdinand has very successfully passed the test. Hence, before God, I confer my priceless gift to you. He said, before God, I am handing over my daughter as a gift to you. O Ferdinand, do not smile that I admire her virtues. Now he is telling Ferdinand that don't think that I am praising Miranda because I am a father. Okay? You will find that she surpasses all praises and that no praise is adequate to her. It says in the long run, when you all get married, you yourself will see that all that I have praised Miranda with are in fact nothing. In fact, when you truly get to know her, you will see that these praises are nothing. In reply, Ferdinand tells Prospero, I believe it. It meaning the praises that you have given your daughter. Though the voice of God were to declare against it. He says, I believe what you say, yet I have a feeling that the voice of gods are declaring it. Prospero then tells him, then take my daughter as my gift to you and as an acquisition which you have made by your merits. So take my daughter as a gift and she is been handed to you because of your merit. But if you dishonor her maidenhood before the holy ceremony of marriage is celebrated, heaven shall not bless this union. But he warns Ferdinand that if he steps too far, if he breaks this holy bondage of matrimony before the wedding, then he would be severely punished by Prospero. Hatred and contempt will fill the marriage and the result will be barrenness. He says, my hatred for you will overpower this marriage if you do such a thing. You will curse it, so you will be cursed for it. Therefore be careful to keep in mind the sacredness of marriage. But therefore, whenever you get married, keep this in mind, that marriage is a very sacred bonding between two people. Ferdinand then tells him, I hope for peaceful days and good children and long run. He tells his to-be father-in-law that he himself is hoping that in the long run they should lead a content and a happy married life, and the same love as it exists. And I would like to also want that the love that I have for Miranda now should continue. Nothing will tempt me to soil my honor with lust, not the darkest den. Den is even heaven. So nothing will compel me to break this bondage of marriage with Miranda. I shall not dull the keen delight of the ceremony. Says the marriage ceremony. He said, I will not dull it. At the same time, I do think that either day or night is too slow in movement. He says, but I am so impatient to get married that at this moment I feel that these days are dragging. They are not, according to me, they are not moving fast enough, because he wishes to marry Miranda as soon as possible. Prospero tells him then, you speak well. Sit down and talk with her. Now he decides to leave the both of them. He says, well, you speak well. I'll give you the opportunity to sit with her. She is your own. Why, here is Ariel, my busy servant. In the meantime, Ariel comes, and Prospero now would like to confide some particular thing with Ariel. So he leaves the two. Ariel and Prospero then talk separately. What does my powerful master desire now? I am here. Ariel is always there to help Prospero in his missions. And Ariel asks Prospero that now what is the latest work he should be performing, to which Prospero tells him, you and your followers did your last job very well. So now he praises Ariel that the last job that they were assigned to do was done with perfection. So he praises him for that. I have now to put you to another test. But he says, but now I am assigning you another test. Go and bring the crowd over whom I have given you control. He said, all the spirits that you control, I have given you that power to control them. Get them out. I would like to use them. Incite them to do quick action, for I want to know this couple an illusion created by my magic. Call them out by my magical power. I would like to give a demonstration to these two, that is the to be married couple. I have promised them, and they expect this. I have promised that they will be entertained by me. So please help me out in this work. Ariel says immediately he would go and contact the other spirits, get them out. Prospero, in the twinkling of an eye, so Prospero orders him, says, don't take long. In the twinkling of an eye, meaning immediately this work should be done. Ariel then tells him, before you can say come, say, I will do it so fast that even before you can say the word come, your work will be done. And go breathe twice. Even though you could breathe, take 2 breaths, your work will be done. So they will be here. Each spirit will be dancing on the tiptoes. Each spirit that approaches will come in a dancing mood with grains and grimaces. Do you love me, my master? No. Then Ariel asks Prospero whether Prospero loved him. Prospero says, I love you dearly. Dearly is a lot. My fine Ariel, do not appear until you hear my summons. Says, now you go and do this work. Don't come unless I order you to come. When you hear me giving that order for you to be visible, then only you come out. Ariel, yes, I understand. Ariel is very, very intelligent, and he knows what Prospero desires. So he says, yes, I will do so. Prospero then tells him, look, you must keep your vow. Do not give way too freely to amorous thoughts. He says, now Prospero says, keep your promise. And as I have told you, do that. The strongest oath melt away in the flame of passion, because he says promises are there to be broken. And many a time people make commitments, make promises, but in the twinkle of an eye, sometimes promises are even broken. Have a greater control on yourself, or else farewell to your vow. It says, control yourself, otherwise the promises that you have made me, committed to me, it will be disillusioned. Ferdinand, I assure you, sir, the maidenly chastity of my soul will keep the flame of passion and love. Prosper then tells him, well, now come by Ariel. Bring me in a few more spirits than are strictly needed. Says, now I need many spirits, even more than I need. Let them appear and nimbly now say nothing, all attend and be quiet. So let them one by one come onto the scene, and I will take control and I will give the commands. Now the first spirit that comes on the scene is Iris. Last video I had told you all that she is a goddess. So Iris comes, and Iris' dialogue is thus: Ceres, you are the most generous goddess who presides over rice fields and wheat and rye, barley, oats and peas, the turfy mountains where the sheep nibble, and flat meadows covered with hay to keep the sheep riverbanks overgrown. So Iris tells the audience that Ceres, another goddess of agriculture, is in complete control of agriculture. All the crops that are cultivated, all the crops that are growing are there because of Ceres. At your command, the marigolds and the reeds are decked by April. That is, they start to bloom by April. The month of showers to serve as a crown which is worn by the pointless and pure deities. So Ceres tells Iris, it will be done. To you, Ceres, belongs the groves of the broom plants. As to you, all the groves that are growing fruit are all under your control. To you belong the seashores with its barren and hard rock on which you roam to enjoy the fresh air. Says even the land, the barren land, is also under your control. I am the messenger and the rainbow of Juno. The Juno is a powerful goddess, the goddess of heaven, and Juno is the goddess of heaven, and come to command you, O Ceres, to leave all these places and report yourself. He said, now even though that you are the goddess of agriculture, you may be very busy, but it is my appeal to you right now. Leave everything, join us, you are needed. Juno descend now. Goddess Juno comes down. You are required to spot with Queen Juno as this grassy lawn at this very place. Juno's peacocks bring her swiftly. After this, Ceres, the goddess of agriculture, makes her entry. Hail Iris, rainbow-colored messenger, who never dared to disobey Juno, the wife of Jupiter. Thou, Ceres, greets Iris, the goddess, the messenger of Juno, you who with orange-colored wings drop moisture which is as sweet as honey on my flowers in order to refresh them. My fields are covered with bushes and barren hills. You are touching the earth with either end of your rainbow. In this way, you serve as an ornamental scarf, that is to make the earth more beautiful, decorative. Why you, the queen, have called me now. Ceres wants to know that why has Juno and Iris called her. Iris then tells Ceres to celebrate a solemn pledge. We have called you here to help us and to join us celebrate a solemn pledge of true love and bestow freely some gifts on the happy lovers, that is the to be married couples. Ceres then tells, tell me, heavenly rainbow, if you know whether Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, or her son Cupid is at this time in an attendance. As Ceres wants to know whether Juno and her son are also present. Juno, since they hatch a plot by me, because they are also to be added, of which the dark god of the underworld got my daughter. I have always kept away from the scandalous company of Venus and her blind son, that is Jupiter. Iris' dialogue comes then. Do not be afraid of her company. So Iris warns Ceres that don't be afraid of Juno. I met the goddess sailing through the clouds towards Purpose and her son, drawn by doves. I saw them both floating in the sky. So don't be afraid, they will not be here. But they did not succeed. Venus, the passionate mistress of Mars, has returned, and her irritable son, who has broken his arrow, says he will shoot no more arrows, but play with sparrows like any young boy. So Iris tells them that don't be afraid of Juno and her son Jupiter. Jupiter accidentally has broken his arrow. Cyrus then says, the highest queen of heaven, great Juno, is coming. I know her by her gait. Gait is way of walking. So my dear students, I'll wind up this video today. We have covered 100 lines in Act 4, Scene 1. So go through this video, watch it, try to understand it. Tomorrow when I come back, I will be continuing from line number 100. Thank you. Stay safe. God bless.